Okay, we'll probably get more folks joining us, but we will get started. Hello, my name is Lisa Gerloff, and I am the Executive Coordinator for the Rocky Mountains Cooperative Ecosystem Studies Unit, or CESU. This spring is our first ever seminar series. We're looking at justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. And we're exploring how our CESU partners are approaching these areas to foster positive change. Before we get started on today's seminar, I just want to cover a couple of things. Our next and final seminar will take place the third week of April. We're dialing in on the exact day and time, and we'll get that information out to all of you. But our seminar will be a conversation with a panel of Black, Indigenous, and people of color students at our Rocky Mountain CESU universities. And they'll be sharing how they grapple with justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion issues in their academic and research journey. And we hope that you will join us for that discussion. Today's panel presentation will run about 35 minutes, and we will have 15 or 20 minutes for questions and discussions. As you have questions, please write them in the question and answer box, which you will find at the bottom of your screen. The question and answer box, not the chat box. And we'll try to get through as many of your questions as we can in the hour. Today, I'm excited to have Dr. Beth Horton and Jen Harrington with us. Beth is a park archaeologist at Yellowstone National Park. She received her doctoral degree from Washington State University and has been working as a professional archaeologist in cultural resource management in state and federal agencies since 1996. Jen is an enrolled member of the Turtle Mountain Band of the Chippewa Indians in North Dakota. She is a native of the Missoula area, and she earned both her bachelor's and her master's degree here at the University of Montana in the College of Forestry and Conservation. Jen is the director of the Native American Natural Resource Program, working to increase Native American enrollment, representation, and success in the STEM fields. We are really excited to have Beth and Jen with us here today because they'll be talking about this unique partnership between Yellowstone and the Native American Natural Resource Program to offer internships designed for Native American college students to get hands-on experience in natural and cultural resources at the Yellowstone Center for Resources in Yellowstone National Park. The internship experiences give the students the skills necessary to enter resource fields with federal agencies. I'm excited to learn more about this program and how it might be modeled in other places. So Beth and Jen, I hand it over to you.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you all of you for joining us today. Both Jen and I are really excited to share this program, the history of this program, some of the student experiences and internships we've been able to offer through this program, as well as some of the challenges that we've worked through and some of our successes. I'm just trying to forward screens. So to get you oriented, Yellowstone is located in the northwest corner of Wyoming, but is also located in Montana and Idaho. The park itself is 2.2 million acres. It was established in 1872 for the protection of the resources in this area. The Yellowstone is the core area of the greater Yellowstone ecosystem, which is one of the largest nearly intact temperate zone ecosystems on the globe. And it ranges from about 12 to 22 million acres, depending on where the boundaries are drawn. Here at Yellowstone, we have 27 associated tribes. And then these associated tribes have historic connections to the lands and resources now found within Yellowstone National Park.
Hello, everyone. I guess I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge that we here at the University of Montana are in the Aboriginal territories of the Salish and Kalispel people, and we honor the path they've always shown us in caring for this place for generations to come.
The Yellowstone Center for Resources was created in 1993 to centralize the park science and resource management functions. We have 5 main goals for our program, and that's to gather, manage, and analyze data in order to better conserve the park's natural and cultural resources, to understand and mitigate the environmental and historic consequences of park management, to preserve and curate rare, sensitive, and valuable natural and cultural resources, to work with park partners to meet resource management goals, and to promote the transfer of knowledge to other park staff, partners, and the public. Here in the Yellowstone Center for Resources, we have a number of different programs. We have wildlife programs, fisheries programs, geology, science communication, vegetation management, cultural resources, and planning and compliance. We have over 60 employees located in the Yellowstone Center for Resources. So we're pretty lucky that we have such a depth of knowledge here in the park, and that we look for these kinds of programs so that we can meet some of these goals of working with our park partners and promoting transfer of knowledge to park staff and the public, but also to mentor the next generation. And so one of the questions that the Park Service had at the same time that the University of Montana had is we were doing internal reflections. And one of the questions that was raised was, how can we better recruit, mentor, and retain Native Americans in the university system? And the Park Service was asking here at the Yellowstone, we were asking the same question. How can we do that in National Park Service programs to create a workforce that is more reflective of the diversity of the American people?
I'm going to just share with you a little bit of history about the Native American Natural Resource Program. Jim Birchfield was the associate dean at the time of the College of Forestry and Conservation, and he saw that Native students in the college had their own interests and culture, but no real network or place for advising. Around the same time, Ted Greenwood visited the College of Forestry. He was from the Sloan Indigenous Graduate Program. And the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation then gifted the college with $40,000 in around 2004 or 5 to support Native American students. With those funds, Victoria Yazzie, a student here in the college, got started with an inventory of who our Native American students were, where they were from, and then she and Jim Birchfield began recruiting around Montana tribal colleges to share the opportunities that the Franke College of Forestry and Conservation had to offer. In 2008, Eli Lilly grant program supplied $200,000. It was a 4 to 5 year grant, which allowed the college to hire Rachel Smith, who is the first director of the Native American Natural Resource Program. She was first hired at halftime and eventually moved to a 3/4 time status. We at the Native American Natural Resource Program are sincerely grateful for the generous support of the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation, Eli Lilly, Patty and Joel Meyer, and Jonathan and Meryl Dorma. Miigwech. So the Native American Natural Resource Program, I as a director am here to support all the Native American students in the college to provide educational opportunities and support that will assist and guide them as they earn their undergraduate and graduate degrees. We offer tutoring and mentoring, academic and financial aid and advising, including transfer advising from a tribal college or other institution. We have internships, scholarships, and seasonal job placements, connection with housing, food, childcare, and resources in our community, connection to cultural resources on and off campus, And we're now offering a tribal natural resource graduate seminar that has become a very successful class. In addition to that, I'm just here as an auntie on campus. I'm here for the students if they want somebody to walk with them to financial aid or find the certain person they need to connect with for support. You know, students know that I am here for them, and sometimes that does make a difference in their educational trajectory.
So the program goals for the Native Student Internship. This project is designed to give Native American university or college students hands-on experience in natural and cultural resource management in the Yellowstone Center for Resources, and also for educational outreach that the Park Service does. And our objectives are to develop a workforce and recruit potential future employees that reflect the diversity of the American population, which is vitally important to the National Park Service. The National Park Service recognizes workforce diversity as a sound business practice, and that allows us to successfully connect with park visitors who represent America's diverse population. And so the service is directed to develop partnerships to improve this workforce diversity. And so this program is set up to provide the skill sets for students participating in this internship placements for future employment, not only with federal agencies such as the National Park Service, but also to take those skill sets and use them in, say, tribal agencies or other workforce places towards the management of cultural and natural resources.
The partnership was created when, Wayne Fryman was a former U of M professor in parks and protected area management. He was also the director of the Wilderness Institute. He did some of his research work in Yellowstone and Glacier and made some connections. At the time, Tom Olaf, who was the chief of the Yellowstone Center for Resources, and then Glenn Plum, the branch chief of Natural Resource Program, came to the University of Montana and wanted to begin relationship building with the College of Forestry's new Native American Natural Resource Program. Lisa Gerloff asked Wayne to oversee a CESU between the park and the Native American Natural Resource Program, but Wayne said that he wanted a commitment from the college, and Jim Birchfield, who became the dean of the College of Forestry, supported that work. The partnership was developed in the fall of 2009 to assist Yellowstone National Park in developing a workforce that better reflects the diversity of America. The program worked to place 2 Native American college students in Yellowstone in the summer of 2010 and another in the summer of 2011. Students were recruited through our program, the Native American Natural Resource Program at the University of Montana. Rachel Smith and Wayne Fryman framed the collaboration around 1, recruiting Native students who can work in Yellowstone over the summer, and 2, address the cultural conflict present in the park system. There was a National Park Service staff training. The collaboration hosted 1 workshop with the division heads for a National Coalition Building Institute looking at mental models about what National Park Service does for diversity and inclusion. Topics included, why do you have a Native American employee retention problem at Yellowstone? How did I become who I am in the National Park Service? How do I advise potential Native American employees about the National Park Service? Teaching about the Native American Natural Resource Program, how we have structured the College of Forestry and Conservation to support Native American students, and mentorship responsibilities, communication needs, and evaluation procedures for students and Yellowstone National Park. Finally, preparing students for the internship was crucial. The students' training covered challenges related to merging Native American cultures with the organizational culture of the National Park Service. The goal of the seminar was not to change any aspect of either culture, but rather to explore the National Park Service culture, its historical development, and its role within a larger society. The seminar included guest lecturers, visits from international park managers, and Native American leaders from within the National Park Service, with discussions on readings that included American Indians in National Parks, Preserving Nature in National Parks, and Searching for Yellowstone, Ecology and Wonder in the Last Wilderness.
So out of this seminar, the partnership was created. And so the logistics, I want to kind of go into some of the logistics of what we do with this internship program. I work very, very closely to make sure this program is successful. We begin with planning. We are already talking about planning, for example, for the summer of 2022, this winter. So we start early on with planning, finding placements in the park that would be successful for students, that has the Park Service capacity to take on those interns as well, so that the interns will have good experiences and learn different skills in those different fields. And we also identify funding. And what are the funding opportunities we can tap into to provide for this internship? But one of the things that we do with this internship is that the Park Service, we provide funding for the students because a lot of them, they need to be supported. So we provide the funding to ensure that they receive a living wage while they're here. And we do that through a CEESU task agreement with the University of Montana. We work together for recruitment. The staff at the Park Service, we develop the internship announcement. We work closely with Jen to make sure that all questions that would be there, that we can give the students a really good idea for what they would be engaged in while they're in their internship. And our internship here is not set up as in the student has a specific project that they're working on. Our internship is set up so that the students are fully integrated into the workforce here in the park. So they are taking on and learning the same skills that our regular employees will use during their research. And we'll go into different examples from a couple different placements to give you an idea of what the students will do while they're here. One thing that we found to be really critical is the on-site visit from the Native American Natural Resource Program Director, who's Jen. And then afterwards, Jen and I really coordinate with each other about the post-internship, kind of looking at it, examining it, what worked, what do we need to tweak. And Jen also works with the students as well. So some of the challenges that we found is the organizational culture. Here at the Park Service, we are limited. We're limited. We have a structure for how we bring staff on through our recruitment, through USA Jobs and our announcements. So we follow those recruitment strategies. And so one of the ways that we were trying to figure out is how we can increase and recruit Native Americans is through this internship program. And so that's one way we've looked at the ability to recruit folks into the Park Service, to have students be engaged, learn how does the federal agencies work? How do you apply for work for federal agencies? So our team leads, our program leads will also sit down with the students and walk through that process. This is how that works if you were to apply for federal work. Here at the Park Service, we also try to provide a support network as well for the student. So it's not just, okay, here you are, you're placed in this position, off you go. We want to make sure that we're constantly checking in with them for that support network. And that's why the on-site visit is so critical, I think, for students' success. Some of the challenges that we have are going to be funding, which is the same challenge for many of our different programs. Here at Yellowstone, we're quite rural, so we have housing limitations. And so our students who are engaged in internships receive the same housing as our summer employees. And our summer employees, we don't have family housing available to them.
Definitely some of the challenges, were tied into both housing and students with families. To leave a family for 10 weeks or 12 weeks for an internship was a barrier. Housing that didn't accommodate a family was a barrier. And then transportation to the park potentially could be a barrier to recruitment, which affected the accessibility to this internship. Communication has become an issue at times, just keeping some of the students, as we've recruited, just keeping that line of communication active and alive. But we've been working through it definitely and making strides.
So looking upon these challenges, we've been able to identify strategies to bring those into success. Housing was a big one. So one of the strategies we developed for that was to use our seasonal housing allotments for these interns. So they really get the full experience of what it means to come work at Yellowstone National Park during the summer. Other successes is we've been able to place students in a variety of youth education and resource management programs. Students have developed their skills through the applied experiences they've had here. Jen and I have worked to expand the internship to a national announcement beyond the University of Montana. So the internship is available. And so students from across the United States who are enrolled in a federally recognized tribe can apply for this internship. And other successes we had is we've had students be recruited into National Park Service and other federal agencies and tribal workforces as well, taking the skills they've learned here and being able to use those to further move forward in their resource careers. Jen and I, every year, as I've mentioned, sit down and we do a re-examination of our program and really try to adapt to the changing needs of students. The last 2 years, we've all had quite a bit of changes happening with the COVID-19. And so Jen and I have really looked at that. How do we facilitate recruitment? How do we facilitate with mentorship? How can I do that from the park side? And then Jen does a lot of that work with the University of Montana, working with the students directly. And through this program, we've been able to facilitate relationship building with tribal colleges. For us at the Park Service, we've built new partnerships with different regional tribal colleges for conducting research in the park itself. And we both continue to communicate with applicants as well after they've completed their internships here at the park.
I guess I'd like to share that in our re-examination, of some of the challenges, despite kind of growing on, expanding that announcement, where we're recruiting, facilitating those relationships with tribal colleges. We've had the most applicants this year that we've ever had. We had 10 applicants in a year of a pandemic, and I think that's remarkable.
One thing that we found is that communication between the park and the university, the park internally with our different program managers and with the university and with the students, it's really critical to our success is to talk with each other often and frequently. And so what we'd like to do is kind of go through a couple of different internships that we've had here. In the first year, in 2010, the interns moved between different Yellowstone resource programs, and they were able to see a wide variety of different kinds of research that we do here in the park. But we found that they weren't getting the in-depth experiences within a particular field that would best set them up for success. So in 2011, the program shifted to focus a student internship in a particular program that would best meet the park's needs, but also meet the needs of the student for their career goals. So our intern, the first year, we had Monica, and she was here. And then in 2011, she returned to Yellowstone National Park as a seasonal biological science technician. And Monica still works with the Park Service. She is currently a biological science technician at Yosemite National Park. We've offered several internships with vegetation management, and the students will participate with the crews. They learn about hazard tree management, invasive plant control, integrated pest management, data entry. Like, all this data is collected. Kind of, what do you do with the data? How do you manage that information for the future? As well as learning wildlife and visitor management when needed to. We've had a student with our youth education program, and this student worked with Park Service staff to assist the park's Youth Conservation Corps. And the Youth Conservation Corps, this student, Ben, was involved a lot with resource education. The Youth Conservation Corps engaged in many different conservation projects across the park, such as trail work, assisting different resource programs, what they were trying to complete for that year. And Ben also participated in creating large batik banners for the Youth Conservation Corps that we still use here at the park. They're fantastic. We've had a student work with fisheries, and our fisheries program does a lot of different things with our aquatic species. One research topic is the preservation of native cutthroat trout, and students help the fisheries team with removing non-native fish, restocking native fish, and encouraging native fish. In the park, non-native lake trout have been stocked in the past in different areas, and they're out competing the native Yellowstone cutthroat trout. So the park is trying to help encourage the native Yellowstone cutthroat trout to become very, very successful. We've also had a couple internships with archaeology, and the students there, they participate in the field work, whether it be doing survey or excavation work. They participate in the laboratory side of things with artifact analysis, data entry and analysis of the data that we collect. They assist with database management and the site records. For example, Sarah Ferris, who's portrayed here in these photographs, she and another student I had at the time took on the project of our archives report library for the archaeological reports, and bringing all that up into a very accessible manner for researchers. And as well as the students in archaeology also will engage in independent research as well for different topics related to the field work that's going on that summer.
This is just a thank you letter that Sierra Ferris had written to us after her internship in 2019. She said, "Thank you so much for a rewarding 3 months as an archaeology intern for Beth Horton under the National Park Service in Yellowstone. I really appreciated this opportunity and how I got to explore all the other parts of being an archaeologist. I was allowed to see some of the cultural resource management work, do research regarding trail rerouting, go out to do surveys, artifact cataloging, and more. You really allowed me to see how CRM works. I have gained skills in cultural resource management, such as writing skills or writing site forms, data entry, site evaluations, planning workshops to teach the other departments how to handle an artifact, geologists, trail crew, museum interns, law enforcement, rangers, and Montana Youth Corps, shovel testing, test excavations, and other useful skills. This internship has opened doors for me, and it has helped me decide what I really want to do with my life."
So looking to the future for this program, some of the goals that we have is we want to increase internship accessibility for students so that they feel that they can apply for these internships and facilitate their involvement and engagement with these opportunities. We're looking to identify additional funding opportunities, both within the service and with exterior of the Park Service. We would like to develop additional internship placements across all of the Yellowstone National Park's workforce. We would like to continue to increase the diversity of the National Park Service workforce through not only this program, but through other programs like these. We would like to increase the number of annual internships that we offer. Right now, we offer 1 or 2 a year, pretty much limited by funding availability and some of the accessibility issues that come out, but we would like to really increase that number of annual internships.
And then we here at the university in that Native American Natural Resource Program would like to develop a course on Native Americans in national parks that would cover once a week a new national park, and perhaps have guest lecturers and Native American lectures on these subjects. And our new intern at CE Cooper wrote to us about her. She's very excited about this internship coming up this summer, and she wrote, "Hello, my name is Atsi. I am Cherokee and I am from the Yellow Hill community. My interest in archaeology and the outdoors grew from a very young age. I grew up in the heart of the Smoky Mountains. My reservation is close to the North Carolina-Tennessee border. When I went to Cherokee Elementary and Middle School, our classes would be taken on field trips to burial mounds or to Kituwa, the mother town. Having always had a strong sense of culture and awareness of our archaeological history, I wanted to learn more and explore outside my mountains. Since then, I have left my reservation and went to the University of Utah. At the end of this spring semester, I will have completed my BA in anthropology. Since living in Utah, I have attended the Range Creek Canyon Archaeological Field School. This summer following field school, I became an intern with SWCA Environmental Consultants located in downtown Salt Lake City. I have been privileged to do the excavations in the Ruby Valley in Nevada, and I have participated in numerous surveys across Utah. I worked with SWCA for almost 2 years. The knowledge, experience, and connections I have made during my time with SWCA is invaluable to me, and I am honored to be starting with this new chapter of my life with this incredible internship in Yellowstone."
So we are looking forward to this summer's internship placement. We're looking forward to future placements. Jen and I encourage you, if you are working in a federal agency or national park that would like to do something similar to this, reach out. If you have students that may be interested in this program, please reach out to either one of us. If you're at a university and would like to reach out and start partnerships, definitely we're here. So here's our contact information. Please feel free to reach out and contact us. And we thank you for joining us and letting us talk about our program. That I hope that you can determine that we're both really passionate about making it successful.
Thank you, Beth and Jen. That was great. As Jen pointed out, I was involved at the very beginning setting up the CESU task agreement that started the program, but I've been removed for quite a while, so it is awesome to see how the program is going and has been adapted and is still being adapted to work the best it can for our Native American students. So again, we'll open up for questions. If you have questions for Beth and Jen, please plug them into the question and answer box, and we'll get to those. As you're writing in your questions, I do have some questions to get us started. Jen, are these internships available for academic credit for the students?
Yes, I mean, toward the 400 credit, you mean for certain internship or for certain majors, they have a requirement?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Those hours are definitely applied toward those internship hours needed for credit for the university. Yeah.
Okay. And when did you start opening it up to universities and colleges outside of the University of Montana?
Well, I think that was 2 years ago. What was it, 2019? We reached out to tribal colleges across Northwest and beyond, and then encouraged people to share it from there. We did only have 4 applicants in 2019. We had 4 applicants last year, but then this year we had 10 applicants. So the word is getting out.
Do you have any thoughts on how we can improve on getting the word out to
Well, I
potential
think
students?
that more, maybe Beth and I could do more outreach and share some of this information with tribal colleges. Just do this presentation and just share what's happening and offer this opportunity, particularly as the types of jobs or internships that we can provide in the park are, change, so that it's not just one focus, that we can have more focuses to allow for more applicants.
Mm-hmm. And then do you tailor the internships based upon your applicant pool? Or, you said, Beth, that you're looking towards 2022 already. Do you have a specific discipline you would concentrate on that year and then advertise for that? Let's say your focus was on cultural resources, then would you advertise for a cultural resource intern? Or do you see what your applicant pool is and then tailor the internship program?
What we do is I reach out to our different program leads here at the park and see who would be able to potentially take on an internship. Working with that program lead, we develop the announcement, and then we work with Jen to make sure that the announcement also fits the parameters of what the university needs.
Mm-hmm.
Then the students apply to those specific announcements. So whether it's a vegetation-based internship or a fisheries-based internship, the students will know what they're applying for and what that internship will entail before they apply. And that allows us to have the students really look to what's going to be the best fit with their career goals and their choices, and make sure that we try to create the best fit possible so that the student has a very, not just a very rewarding experience, but also gets that mentorship and learning those skills to really move forward with their own endeavors career-wise. But also the student will be able to bring a unique perspective to the National Park Service and the crew on how we look at resources and how we can think about those resources, just through interactions. They'll be able to bring that different perspective to the crew itself, and that they'll all be able to talk about those different ways of looking at things while they're out in the field. So I think it's a rewarding experience for both sides. And which programs we work with is really dependent upon which specific research projects are coming up in the park, which management projects are coming up in the park, and where we're going to be able to ensure that we do have the financial support to make sure that that student is earning a living wage and financially supported so that they can engage in these opportunities.
I just want to remind folks, if you have questions, to put them in the question and answer box. I'm happy to ask questions because I actually still have a lot of them, but I don't want to exclude any of you out there. So again, if you have questions and answers, please type them into the question and answer box. So Beth, Jen, is there training done with the park personnel that will be doing the mentoring? Just I think a good experience for a student intern really hinges on having a good mentor. So do the park employees go through any mentor training?
We're really lucky here is that we have several programs that participate very frequently. And so those program managers are very aware. What Jen and I have been doing is working one-on-one with a lot of those, working one-on-one with a lot of the different program managers as they have concerns that come up, or questions, not even concerns, just questions on the best way to proceed. And then make sure to, as a program manager is looking forward, is developing an internship, an announcement, to make sure that they are aware of different concerns that come up as well. A lot of the things that we would like to do for looking towards the future have been were delayed by a year with last year. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of Park Service folks will go through different kinds of training just as a base of their normal supervisory work on issues of diversity and inclusion. So we draw upon that as well.
And Jen, so you do on-site visits. Do you do that once over a summer, or do you visit several times? I'm curious what your approach is.
I'm very fortunate to be able to go. I go once during the summer. In 2009, I started in 2018. I went and visited Daniel Eakin. And got to go out with him. I spent the day with him out in the field doing some of the activities that he is involved with, including paperwork. I got to see where he lived and just, we talked about his experience. Some of, I wanted to know the good and the bad, what was working, what wasn't working. And then in 2019 or 18, I went, 19, it was Sierra and Amanda. And that was really fun. I got to go and see two different types of internships. There was the resource management and then the archaeological work. And getting to experience kind of some of the things that they were doing was really helpful for me. And then, and to explain these internships to potential students that were going to apply in the future. And then it helped Beth and I think with, we have a good relationship. We work together well. And I think that on-site visit helped that. And I look forward to coming and visiting at CE this summer.
Okay, we do have a question in the question and answer box. Melanie Armstrong in Colorado says, thanks for sharing this model. Have you had interest from students who would like to participate but unable to due to some of the external parameters that you identified, housing, childcare? In other words, do you have a sense of how big of a barrier non-traditional students face in pursuing these types of internships?
Well, I myself, as an undergrad, was offered this internship, but I am a single parent, and there was no way that I could do it. And I just being familiar with the students within our college know that we have several parents with family, students with families here, and it's immediate barrier. But to gauge how, like a number of, or a percent of students that can't access it, I don't know. We have been brainstorming on ways to accommodate students with families, though, thinking about a fifth wheel that we could bring from the university over to the park if there was space for such a thing. Or, we are trying to work on creating more accessibility for all students.
So in your examples, the very first intern, I believe her name was Monica, is that correct? So she is now a biological technician at Yosemite National Park.
That's
Do you keep track of all student interns, like where they are now, if their internship indeed has helped them secure employment either with a federal agency or federal, state, tribal? Yeah, just tracking where they are currently.
Some students, I know Avery Okayo is now working on his PhD out in New York, but he still has an interest in national park work, so he may come back around.
Mm-hmm.
I know Daniel went into law, but he was interested in working at Yellowstone in some capacity, but I'm not sure about Sarah or Amanda. I think they were just finishing up their undergrad work.
Mm-hmm. Is that something you would like to do?
Mm-hmm. I think so. I'd like to keep in touch with students and see how they're doing, and oftentimes, there are other opportunities that seem to be, that I can share with them in the future too.
and I'd like to keep in touch with the students as well in case they have any questions about federal service. I always enjoy when they reach out to connect and let me know how they're doing. Reaching out for me to continue in the mentorship role, not only as an expert in archaeology and cultural resources, but also as a federal employee for how do these different systems work. So I look forward to that too.
Mm-hmm. So Beth, you're a resource for the students each summer as well, even if they are not placed in your discipline?
Absolutely. I make sure to meet with them. I organize the logistics of their housing, getting them onboarded into the National Park Service and facilitating all of that. So I will work with the students and the program managers and be that consistent point of contact for them here at the park from the point of when the internship placement is offered by the university and they accept it, then I am their point of contact through the park. Not only, and sometimes it's nice to have that point of contact to help with logistics in case anything were to ever come up that's not in that program. And so if the student is with me, I make sure that they have that park service person that they can also reach out to that would not be within that particular program to help facilitate if anything were ever arise.
Mm-hmm. So Beth, Jen, has anyone approached you either from another national park or another agency that might have learned about this internship program to get the recipe of how to start it with their agency?
I have not been approached yet, but that's why we were excited to do this presentation and we've been working on this outreach. We would like to see other programs similar to this in other places of the country.
Well, I would love to see that too. And as you know, the CESU works with other federal partners that I think this model would fit nicely into. So let's keep in touch and continue the conversation. And however I can help promote your model, I will absolutely do what I can. I think that's all the questions I have for now. And I don't see any other questions in the question and answer box. So we will start to wrap up. Is there anything else, Beth and Jen, that you would like to say?
I just want to say I really appreciate the opportunity to work with the Yellowstone National Park and with Beth, and the CESU partnership has been really important for increased representation of Native Americans in the park system, and I think it's good work that we're doing.
And I'd like to say that here at Yellowstone, we're very happy to be working with the Native American Natural Resource Program over at the University of Montana. The support network that program provides for its students is, I think, been very instrumental to the student success while engaging in these internship placements. So thank you, Jen. And I want to thank all of our folks that have sponsored this program throughout the years as well, being the Yellowstone National Park, the College of Forestry, as well as the Yellowstone Association and Yellowstone Park Foundation, who've now merged to become Yellowstone Forever as our nonprofit park partner, and they have helped sponsor this program as well. So I thank all of them.
Well, thank you, Beth and Jen, and thank all of you out there who have logged in and listened to this presentation today. It is being recorded, and it will be made available on our Rocky Mountain CESU website. And that link will go out to all of you in a kind of post email in a few days. So look for that. And hopefully we'll have more information on the exact day and time for our April seminar. So again, thank you, Beth and Jen, and I look forward to continued conversations with you. And I hope all of you will join us for our final Rocky Mountain CESU Spring Seminar in April. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.